The anime begins with a scene in an office where employees are preparing to go home, leaving one employee alone in the room. The man is confused about what to do if he goes home because he has no family waiting for him. After it gets late, the man walks home, crossing the street, but without realizing it, he gets hit and dies on the spot. In another place, a woman is seen carrying a baby. Several years later, the child grows up and lives in the forest. The boy is catching chickens and wild boars for food. The boy is named Shin Walford, and he is a magic user. With his magic, Shin can catch creatures in the forest. Shin lives with his grandfather, who also resides in the forest. Strangely, Shin still remembers his old memories from when he lived on Earth and was in a city in Japan, but he cannot remember how he died in that world. Shin returns home after his hunt, and his grandfather welcomes him back. His grandfather's name is Merlin Walford. Merlin found Shin in a demon carriage when he was still a baby. Merlin raised Shin alone. Shin feels that Merlin is a savior in his life. Merlin is an expert in using magic and teaches his knowledge to Shin, enabling Shin to easily perform anything with his powers. Merlin asks Shin to use fire elements to burn wood, so it turns into a fire and burns the wood completely. From afar, Shin sees the arrival of Grandma Melinda and also Michelle, which makes him happy. Merlin advises Shin not to focus solely on magic but also to try using magical equipment and practicing martial arts. Shin followed his grandfather's advice to learn. Melinda then approached Shin and Merlin at their home. Melinda was shocked to see Shin had managed to catch a wild boar alone. No 8-year-old should be able to capture such a wild animal. Merlin explained that the forest was like home to Shin, so Melinda didn't need to worry about him. Hearing this, Michelle was very excited to see Shin's actions and said that she would train him well. A few years later, Merlin invited Shin to hunt demons because he had turned 10 years old. Merlin and Shin gained hunting experience. Merlin explained that since they lived in a city of magic, all living creatures benefited from magic. If a magic user couldn't control it, it would destroy the area, damage the surroundings, and attack others. Merlin also taught techniques to detect the presence of demons. He emitted his magical aura to summon the demons. This technique could locate the demons' whereabouts. The technique was very difficult to use, especially for beginners. Merlin was very shocked because Shin was so overpowered and could summon his magical aura. Shin and Merlin found the demons and went to hunt them. Without hesitation, Shin attacked the demon with sword techniques and then killed it. Merlin was astonished to see Shin's heroic actions and recalled their first meeting. Shin then snapped Merlin out of his reverie and asked if his method of slaying the demon was correct. Merlin also praised Shin's toughness in facing the demon. Shin was very happy because he managed to defeat the demon. Upon arriving home, Merlin told Melinda and also Mitchell about Shin's rapid progress when slaughtering demons in the forest. Melinda asked who Shin was because despite being a child, he already possessed superpowers. Merlin didn't care where Shin came from because, to him, the child was his precious grandson. The next day, Shin trained with Michelle to master martial arts, and after the training, Merlin invited Shin to talk. Merlin then told the story of how he met and adopted Shin. Shin said he realized that Merlin wasn't his biological grandfather, but he was still very happy because Merlin was always there for him. Shin also didn't feel lonely because Melinda and Michelle were there with him. Merlin felt embarrassed listening to the child's chatter. Several years passed, and without realizing it, Shin was already 15 years old. Merlin's extended family held a birthday party for Shin, who had grown up. They asked what Shin would do next, and Shin was confused because he had never left the forest before. Merlin then invited Melinda and the others to see Shin's powers now. They then created a teleportation spell to take them elsewhere. Shin began his action using summoning magic and unleashed a tremendous explosion. The spectators were shocked to witness Shin's overpowering actions. Merlin's relatives worried about Shin's future if he couldn't control his powers. Mr. Dis said he would take Shin to study at the Magic Academy in his kingdom. Shin panicked and asked who Mr. Dis was. Mr. Dis introduced himself as King Dision, a friend of Merlin and Melinda's hero. Shin only then realized that he had been surrounded by great people all along. Merlin asked Shin if he wanted to go to school, and Shin enthusiastically said he would. After the meeting, it was decided that Shin would go to the capital with his grandparents. Upon their arrival in the city, the guards checked their identities and realized that the hero had arrived in the kingdom. The citizens were very enthusiastic to welcome the hero to Merlin City. Shin was invited by Merlin to go to his official residence in the kingdom. The servants welcomed the arrival of Merlin, Melinda, and the young Master Shin. Shin was then asked by his grandfather to take a stroll around the city since he had just arrived. Shin went to the market and bought apples. Along the way, Shin got lost and didn't know the way back. Shin then witnessed a scene of bullying in an alley by 3 big men who were harassing 2 women. Shin acted like a hero in broad daylight and confronted the big men, scaring them off. Shin then inquired about the well-being of the 2 beautiful ladies. He was mesmerized by the beauty of one of the women he had helped. After that, Shin got acquainted with the two adorable women named Maria and Cicely. Maria thought Shin was a student from the Night Magic Academy. It turned out they both wanted to enroll in the same magic academy. Maria was very excited to tell Shin about the arrival of Merlin and Melinda. Maria has admired them since childhood. Shin was puzzled by Maria's reaction to his grandparents, not recognizing them and seeming indifferent. He then bid farewell and returned home. Cicely liked the idea of love at first sight. Maria teased Cicely for being captivated by Shin's handsomeness. The exam arrived, and Shin saw a poster on the academy wall where a noble student named Kurd was bothering him while he was studying seriously. Shin reflexively threw Kurd down, causing him pain. Prince August intervened to stop the fight between the potential students. August asked Kurd not to provoke others at the academy. Shin recognized August as Mr. Dis' son and behaved casually towards him. Maria and Cicely were also present at the exam venue. The students then proceeded to take the written exam in one room. After that, they began the practical magic exam in another room. Shin saw the prospective magic students reciting magic spells, but their powers seemed weak. Shin was disappointed to see that the magic students had only average abilities. The exam supervisor then asked Shin to demonstrate his skills. The supervisor advised Shin to control his powers. Shin, without chanting a mantra, could destroy the target until the place exploded. Eventually, Shin passed because he was a multi-talented student. After being declared successful, Shin, along with August and other friends, took their uniforms and magical tools. The guard then asked Shin to prepare his best speech as the highest score in the school. Shin then asked August to give the speech because he was a prince. August friendly explained that the Magic Academy did not consider caste. The best grades came from the students' abilities, unrelated to the royal family. Shin returned to the dorm room and carried out his first mission. He removed the school's mantra effect on his uniform, created his mantra, and applied it to his magical school uniform. The next day, the school opening ceremony was held. Shin was escorted by Merlin and Melinda to the magic school. Melinda warned Shin not to show the power of his magical uniform to other students. The event began, and Shin was asked to give a speech to the first-year students. Maria and Cicely were surprised to learn that Shin was Merlin's grandson. After the welcoming event, Maria called Shin to meet with Cicely. Cicely told Shin that she was often harassed by men and asked for Shin's help. Shortly after, Kurd approached Cicely and scolded her for being close to other men. Shin got angry seeing Kurd's behavior, disrespecting women and intimidating Cicely. Kurd threatened Cicely that if she cancelled their engagement, he would overthrow his father's position. Then August intervened to resolve the dispute between Kurd and Shin. August warned Kurd not to abuse his father's position as a nobleman. Kurd left with a resentful face, vowing to settle the score with Shin. Shin then invited Cicely and others to visit his house. Shin introduced his friends to Merlin and Melinda. King Destined was also at Merlin's house. Shin told them about Cicely and Melinda's situation. Melinda tried to test Cicely and was firm with her. Cicely admitted that she had used Shin to protect herself. Melinda saw Cicely's honesty and agreed to help her. Shin then chanted his mantra on Cicely's school uniform. King Destined advised Shin not to reveal his magic to others because if the military knew Shin's power, he would become a threat to other countries. Shin told King Destined that he would control his power to not attract attention. Shin also cast a spell on the uniforms of August, Julius, and Thor for defense. Meanwhile, Maria did not want to use her magical powers and preferred to remain ordinary. Shin then told Cicely that he would escort her home to ensure her safety. Cicely felt bad about inconveniencing Shin. Shin then demonstrated Cicely teleport to create a gate, making it easy for them to reach their destination. He then invited his friends to visit the forest where he used to live using magic, and Shin and his friends arrived in the forest the next day. The next day, Shin went to pick up C and Maria for school. Upon arrival in the classroom, August teased Shin for being with two girls in the morning. Shin scolded August for knowing the reason behind it. Julius and Thor greeted Shin. Later, a woman named Alice entered the class late and began to panic, which didn't surprise the other classmates. The teacher then announced that he would take the students on a tour of the school. He explained that at the Magic Academy, students were required to join study groups, and there were various types of study groups available. Alice asked Shin which study group he would join, but Shin hadn't decided yet and seemed confused. August suggested that Shin should create his study group, a suggestion that Alice and others agreed with. The teacher mentioned the requirements for forming a study group. Once the students agreed, the teacher decided to become their study group supervisor. Alice proposed forming the Ultimate Magic Study Group, and August and the others supported her idea. Shin reluctantly accepted his friend's decision to make their own choices. The teacher officially established the Ultimate Magic Study Group starting today. Meanwhile, in King Destined's kingdom, he was in a meeting with ministers discussing the sudden appearance of demons. Dominic suspected human involvement, but King Destined denied it, saying humans wouldn't ally with demons. King Destined then ordered to contact demon hunters to investigate the case. Switching to Redberg's residence, Kurd's father summoned him and reprimanded his actions at the Magic Academy. Kurd objected to his noble status being demeaned and then fought his father like a possessed man filled with vengeance. Kurd's father slapped him to bring him to his senses and ordered the guards to confine him to his room. The next day at school, August discussed Kurd's absence with Shin and others. Shin asked his friends what happened to Kurd's behavior. Thor said that back when they were in junior high school, Kurd seemed like a good student and also friendly. Thor also noticed the change in Kurd since they went to Mr. Satrom's laboratory. Shin was surprised, wondering who this Mr. Satrom was. Thor then explained that Mr. Satrom was a teacher who had transferred from another magic school. Mr. Satrom admitted that he had been exiled from the Empire. After practicing at the Knights Academy of Magic, Mr. Satrom invited students with magical abilities to come to his laboratory. Returning to Redberg's residence, Mr. Satrom visited Kurd at his home. Kurd's mother begged the teacher to make Kurd cheerful again like before. Mr. Satrom then entered Kurd's room and greeted him, looking very pitiful. Mr. Satrom ordered Kurd to fight Shin for disturbing his life. It seemed that Mr. Satrom was only using Kurd as his experimental subject. Moving to the school, the students gathered in the school cafeteria to have lunch together with Shin and the others, discussing detection magic. If there were jealous looks or a killing aura, Shin could sense it because he had once hunted demons in the August forest. The others were shocked to hear about demon hunting. After having lunch together, Shin and the others walked in the school corridor. Shin detected a killer aura and searched for its source. It turned out to be Kurd, who was about to attack Shin and his friends. Kurd looked very ferocious and uncontrollable. Shin then asked August to take his friends away from the corridor. August asked Thor and Julius to report the incident to the school authorities. August, along with other friends, then left Shin with Kurd. Shin continued his heroic action to defeat Kurd, who was possessed by a demon. Shin sensed that Kurd was not fully possessed by the demon and wanted to free him, but it was beyond reason because Kurd's demon magic was embedded to explode him along with the school. It seemed impossible for Shin to save Kurd. The only way was to destroy Kurd because of the tremendous power he possessed. Shin slaughtered Kurd and ended his life to save the school. His friends were torn and uneasy after Shin sadistically slaughtered Kurd. Other friends who arrived saw Shin successfully defeating Kurd until his death. After the incident, Shin thought there was something suspicious about Kurds. August and the others approached Shin and asked what he was thinking. Shin revealed to his friends that while fighting Kurd, he sensed a demon that could speak residing in Kurd's body before he died. August was also surprised how a first-year student could possess such terrifying power. According to Shin, Kurds had been controlled by someone else who wanted to create artificial demons. Then Shin and his friends returned to school and saw King Destined there. Shin hadn't asked why King Destined was at school, and the king stated that he would award Shin for successfully defeating the demon yesterday. Shin was very surprised to hear that he would receive an award and also a medal from the Merlin Kingdom. Merlin didn't seem pleased because Destined involved Shin in the politics. Queen Melinda also opposed Destined's treatment of Shin, which awarded him. King Destined explained that he did it so that the public would know about the kingdom's heroic actions, and it wouldn't be possible to hide the fact of a hero who successfully defeated the demon because Destined's reasoning was reasonable. So Merlin and Melinda let it go. But they reminded him that if Destined broke his promise, Melinda would also leave the kingdom. King Destined said he would keep his promise to his two friends. The next day at school, the students scrambled to join the Ultimate Magic group led by Shin because of the incident of defeating the demon, making him very popular. The teacher held a test to enter the group to reduce the number of participants who wanted to join. They moved to King Destined's meeting room and his ministers. They discussed the recent incident at the magic school. King Destined told Dominic that a human had created an artificial demon, as an example, a Kurd, who had died due to someone's failed experiment. Dominic had suspected that the incident was related to the demons that had been emerging lately in King Destined City. So, King Destined asked Dominic and Denny's to collaborate to investigate the case. They moved to the magic learning room, where a new pair of students arrived, a boy named Mark and a girl named Olivia. Olivia is the daughter of the owner of the Brick Oven restaurant. Maria and Alice were very happy to have Olivia join their study group. Maria planned to celebrate the students at Brick Oven, and since Mark was the son of a blacksmith, Shin asked him to demonstrate his skills. Mark was not very confident because he wasn't so skilled. Shin said he wouldn't ask for something complicated, and when Mark made him a new sword, Mark agreed to Shin's request and would make a sword according to Shin's taste. Elsewhere, the Investigation Bureau began its action to find the real facts. They received a report that before Kurd left home, his junior high school teacher came to visit his room. Members of the Royal Investigation Bureau named Alt and Carlos visited Mr. Satrom's laboratory to start their investigation. Alt entered the laboratory and saw Mr. Satrom reciting his mantra. Alt was impressed that Mr. Satrom could make potions without seeing. Alt asked what happened to Mr. Satrome's eyes. Mr. Satrome told him that his eyes were attacked by his brother, so he couldn't see anymore. After that, Alt asked Mr. Satrome to cooperate with the Investigation Bureau to uncover the truth. Mr. Satrome said he was willing to cooperate with the Investigation Bureau. Next, Mr. Satrome followed Alt and Carlos to the investigation site. Alt deliberately took Mr. Satrome to the field to catch him. Alt asked why Mr. Satrome did that to Kurd. Mr. Satrome said he wanted to experiment. Alt was very angry to know the reason that Mr. Satrome used humans as his experimental tools. The royal forces surrounded Mr. Satrome to catch him, but they were powerless against him. The training room wall exploded, causing it to crack and collapse simultaneously. Shin and the others passed through that place and saw a very large explosion. Shin then entered the scene and saw the presence of Mr. Satrome. Alt asked Prince August to flee from the place and said that Satrome was the mastermind behind the artificial demon humans made by August, and Shin also knew that the man was Mr. Satrome. Shin was very angry and attacked Mr. Satrome until the barrier in his eyes broke. It turned out that Mr. Satrome was a red-eyed demon human. A fierce battle between Mr. Satrome's magic and Shin's magic ensued. Shin recited his ultimate magic spell and finally managed to hit Mr. Satrome, but unfortunately, Mr. Satrome managed to escape and they lost his trail. After a while, Dominic and his companion arrived at the scene and saw that Shin had finished fighting against Mr. Satrome. Dominic praised Shin's actions, the grandson of Merlin, the kingdom's hero. After the incident, Shin and his friends went to visit his father Mark's iron shop. On the way, August noticed a scene that seemed preoccupied. August asked what Shin was thinking. Shin told August that he believed Mr. Satrome was still alive and had managed to escape. Shin then observed the remnants of the explosion that occurred at the scene and proved that Mr. Satrome was still alive. August said Shin should immediately order his sword and the royal forces would always support him. Upon arriving at Mark's father's shop location, they saw Mark and Olivia together. Shin asked why Mark and Olivia were together on the second morning. Both of them wanted to know and began to act and interrogate Olivia. Olivia and Mark had long been lovers and they were always together. Mark then introduced his father to his friends. His father was surprised to see Prince August visiting their shop. August explained to Mark's father that his friend Shin wanted to make a sword. Mark's father said he would make a sword for his special guest. Shin then moved to the Blusvia Imperial Palace. The Blusvia king asked Ziz where he got the information about the Earlsealed Kingdom. Ziz explained to the king that he had intel in the Earlsealed Kingdom. The intel provided all the information about the chaos caused by the appearance of demons with cunning faces. The Blusvia king was determined to conquer the Earlsealed Kingdom. Back to Shin and the others, after ordering the sword at Mark's shop, Shin said he wanted to give Cicely some accessories. Cicely became emotional and nervous because it was too sudden. Shin wanted to propose to her. Cicely misunderstood Shin's intention of giving her the gift. Shin calmly explained that he wanted to buy accessories for her as a protective charm. Shin's friends were annoyed to see it because Shin was being playful with Cicely, who was already emotional. Shin felt guilty and asked Cicely to choose the accessories she liked. Cicely asked Shin to choose the accessories that suited her. Shin saw a beautiful ring and decided to buy it. Shin put the ring, which had been enchanted with a magic spell, on Cicely's finger, making the woman melt with happiness. The scene continues to the kingdom, where Shin is present to receive King Dision's award and enters the hall. King Dision presents a certificate to Shin for his services against demons and for protecting the students at the Magic Academy. After the event, Shin heads home. The next night, Shin intends to go to school with Cicely and Maria, but Shin's house is crowded with many new fans who want to meet the hero. Shin is troubled because it will be chaotic if he leaves the house. Shin then uses gate magic to directly connect to the school with Cicely and Maria. They arrive in class through the gate and see their friends already there. Yuri asks Shin what magic he used. Shin explains that the gate is a portal that connects two places. Yuri assumes that gate magic is similar to teleportation. Shin clarifies that the gate is more about moving from one place to another. Then Shin invites his study group to start magic defense training. Shin asks Maria to demonstrate her magic defense. Maria follows Shin's instructions and displays her magic defense. Shin sees that Maria's magic defense is very weak, so he asks Cicely to use magic accessories as her defense. Cicely does so and successfully creates 2 layers of protection. The students are surprised to see Cicely capable of creating 2 defenses at once. Now it's Shin's turn to demonstrate his overpowering magic defense, shocking his friends with his aura. Shin says he will train his friends to control their magic energy. The scene shifts to the kingdom where Satrome is being treated by Miria. Satrome is the intel sent by Zest to the Earlsealed Kingdom. Shin's suspicion that Satrome is still alive is confirmed when Satrome returns to Shin's house with August and their friends through the gate portal. Merlin and Melinda see their grandson bringing many friends to their house. Shin explains that he was blocked by fans in front of the school gate, so he brought his friends using the gate to meet Merlin. Thor tells Merlin that they are being trained by Shin to control magic energy. The students want to ask Merlin about the mechanism of magic, but Merlin firmly states that he doesn't know how magic works. Merlin has taught Shin to imagine magic into reality, thus making spell recitations effective. With Merlin's explanation, the students begin to understand. Shin then invites August and the others to retrieve their weapons from Mars' father's shop. After August retrieves his sword, he asks for permission to make a similar sword with a different design for the kingdom's army. Shin doesn't mind as long as Tony approves, as the idea comes from him. August also reveals that the palace forces will soon be at war with the Blasphia kingdom. He asks Shin not to get involved in the kingdom's military affairs because it's dangerous for him. Shin firmly tells August that she will defend and protect her beloved friend, therefore Shin decides to join the war against the kingdom of Blasphia. Shin is shown in the Blasphia kingdom as she intercepts King Blasphia in his chamber and declares that she will end Shin's life, and indeed Satram ruthlessly slaughters the noble in his palace until he is lifeless. Several days later, the Ursal kingdom's forces arrive at the location, visibly devastated by the demon army's attack. Dominic and the soldiers are greeted by Oliver Satram at the site. Satram expresses gratitude to both generals as they helped in annihilating the population of the Blasphia kingdom. Dominic realizes that behind the ongoing war lies Satram's mischief. Satram calmly acknowledges his actions for instigating the war between the two kingdoms. Satram prepares human-demon troops to confront Dominic and his soldiers, but Dominic and his troops retreat due to being outnumbered, returning to the Ursal kingdom. Dominic reports to King Dicyon that Satram is still alive. The kingdom is in a dilemma upon learning that Satram, the bandit, is alive after the meeting ends. Teacher Marcus announces to the students that Satram is indeed alive and in Bolivia. The teacher explains that they are unaware of Satram's intentions, hence the kingdom doesn't know what strategy to prepare to attack Satram. The teacher firmly urges the students to level up to the next stage, emphasizing the need for self-defense against potential threats. Hearing the teacher's explanation, the students start to feel anxious as they are not used to physical training, they have solely relied on magic for self-defense. While the teacher demands the students to enhance their physical strength as knights, Cicely asks if Shin was trained by knights. Shin answers that Mitchell used to give her rigorous physical training, surprising all students to see Shin trained by the Holy Knights. Shin doesn't understand her friend's implication. Surely, she was trained by Michelle, which is why she could enhance her physical strength. Subsequently, the joint training to capture demons begins. The knights and the wizards unite to defeat the demon. The knights seem to underestimate the wizards as they are not as physically strong as them. The joint team proceeds to the scene riding in the mobiles. The knight team introduces themselves to the wizard team. The wizard team asks the knights if they have ever defeated demons. Miranda is annoyed by the knights' underestimation and explains that if they keep quarreling, both the wizard and the knight teams will perish. Miranda insists they are stronger than the wizards. Prince August mediates the debate and requests not to argue during the demon capture training. Prince August wants to see the knights defeat the demons without the wizard's assistance. Craze says he will comply with Prince August's orders. Shortly after, Shin is greeted by Sake and Craze, who are participating in the joint training against demons. Chris and Sake are very popular, having many fans. Prince August explained to Sake and Chris that he asked the knight troops to intercept the demon army without the assistance of witches after listening to their reasons. Craze then asked the knights to be at the forefront to slaughter the wild demon pigs attacking the knights ferociously, and they were overwhelmed. The knights fell while fighting against these wild demon pigs, but bravely, like a warrior, Shin managed to incapacitate the wild demon pig, brutally severing its head. The knights were astonished by Shin's heroic and overpowering action. Sake then began his brief speech to the knights, urging them to realize their shortcomings because fundamentally, the knight students were weak and they had yet to familiarize themselves with the actual battlefield terrain. The knights began to realize their arrogance. Cicely treated the wounded knights, making them sentimental. The knight students began to seek Cicely's attention, making Shin jealous. Suddenly, Chris felt the presence of a demon aura nearby and asked the students to prepare to intercept it. The students reported to Senior Sake that hundreds of demons would attack them. Shin then resumed his heroic actions, asking the students to take cover while he alone would stop the hundreds of demons. Shin utilized his god-level abilities, swiftly annihilating the demons in the blink of an eye. After that, the hundreds of demons vanished, defeated. Juliet began to inquire about her Romeo, and they exchanged sentimental feelings. Miranda thought the two were officially dating, but they were still shy with each other. Later on, they continued their journey. Chris became curious about what Shin taught his study group at school, and Shin said he taught magic like Merlin's teachings to his friends. August warned Chris not to dig deeper into the information and leak it to the military. August stated that Shin taught magical energy control to the students. August then summoned Cicely and Maria to practice controlling magic, following Shin's teachings. The two women performed their actions using protective magic, leaving Chris amazed at the thickness of their protection. Maria told Chris that her protection was still thin, with a radiant face, impressing Chris with her magical strength. Next, the students gathered at the Capitol Gate after their joint training in the forest. Shin and his friends gathered to recount their actions when they defeated the demons in the nearby forest. Several days later, the magic students began their actions smoothly without any hindrance. Shin and his friends yielded excellent results from their training because the magic students' progress looked promising and made them stronger. August gathered Shin and his friends to listen to important information. August informed his friends that demons had reached the Sedan Empire and the nobles had been slaughtered. This incident was not widely known yet. August asked the witches to prepare their strength to slaughter the demons. Shin realized that it was Satrom's doing. Then, Shin planned to hold a magic training camp for the magic students who seemed happy with the exercises Shin would arrange. After the summer break, Shin and his friends would start training in the valley area. Then, the students would return home after the joint training ended, and the camp training days would arrive. Merlin and Melinda joined the students as their supervisors. The group of magic students rode horse-drawn carriages to the campsite. After a while, Shin and the others arrived in Cloud City and were welcomed by the Cicely family. They decided to rest at Cicely's residence and spend the night there. The men gathered in the hot springs to relax their bodies. Merlin thanked August and the others for being his grandson's friends. August and his friends were very grateful to know Shin and they were happy to be with him. Shin was deeply moved and thanked his grandfather for blessing him with friends. The grandfather couldn't help but shed tears of joy at his grandson's emotions. Meanwhile, in the women's bathhouse, the ladies were busy with body treatments. They saw Melinda looking very charming despite her age. Melinda said her beauty secret came from a device made by Shin for her. The woman asked Melinda to borrow the device, and Melinda graciously allowed the girls to use it. Next, magic control training began, with the students being trained directly by the master to control their magical powers. Meanwhile, Melinda trained the students in magic spells. Shin was relieved to see the students being trained by the professionals, and the magic students progressed with the help of Merlin and Melinda. Shin continued to Prince August, who asked Shin to open the gate so he could return to the palace. Shin complied with August's request, and they returned there. August saw Alice and May in the palace and welcomed them. Alice was August's fiancée, while May was the prince's younger sister. Alice grumbled because August had left her and went camping alone. May also scolded August for not taking her along. May was a big fan of Melinda, Shin's grandmother. August forbade them from joining because the camp was very dangerous. King Desion then asked August to take Alice and May with him because they would be protected by Merlin and Melinda. At the king's request, August decided to take them both. Shin was shocked to learn that August already had a fiancé after returning from the kingdom. Shin and the others had a meal together. August suggested Shin confess to Cicely because they liked each other. Shin was afraid his feelings wouldn't be reciprocated, but because of August's advice, he started to bravely express his feelings. Upon arriving at his residence, Shin thought about his feelings for Cicely and took a walk to look at the stars at night to calm his emotions. Shin then saw Cicely at the hut and approached her. Shin and Cicely looked shy and excited because of their emotions. Shin confessed his feelings like a gentleman and then proposed to Cicely. Shin's feelings were reciprocated because Cicely loved him deeply. The two finally united and were about to kiss, but it didn't happen because the troublemakers suddenly appeared, disrupting the romantic scene of Romeo and Juliet that had just begun. Shin announced to the students that they were officially dating. Melinda approved of Shin and felt that her grandson was very gentlemanly. The next day, Shin decided to acknowledge their relationship and also sought approval from Cicely's parents. Shin approached Cicely's parents and expressed his feelings. Cicely's father liked Shin and then gave his approval. Cicely's mother told Shin that since they were both from noble families, they should think about their future. Shin should be willing to engage with Cicely as a sign of commitment. Shin firmly agreed to his future-in-law's conditions. Emotional scenes unfolded and they began practicing magic again, the students appearing stronger and more confident in their magic practice. Switching to another location, Satrom asked Miria about the state of their empire. Miria explained that the imperial region was currently experiencing a food crisis. Satrom said it was time for them to take action. Returning to Shin and Cicely, who were busy dealing with the engagement issue, Shin informed Melinda and Merlin that they were planning to get engaged. Melinda asked Cicely to introduce them to her parents. Merlin and Melinda arrived at Cloud's house and were welcomed by Cicely's parents. Melinda got straight to the point, expressing her desire to see Cicely's parents' response to their granddaughter. But it turned out they liked Shin not because of his status as the hero's grandson, but because of Shin's gentlemanly demeanor. The issue was resolved, and Shin and Cicely's relationship received the blessings of both sides. Next, Shin and Cicely held an engagement party at Cloud Shin's residence. Shin looked extremely handsome, while Cicely appeared very cute yet elegant. There were heartwarming scenes as the two of them were very happy. Shin and Cicely entered the engagement party room, attended by family members and the king's magic students, turning Seon into a witnesses of the engagement of two people deeply in love. All the attendees raised their glasses to celebrate the happiness of Shin and Cicely as a young couple in the magic school. The scene shifted to Satrom's new residence. Zas succeeded in executing his plan to provoke conflict between the common people and the nobles, intending to control the commoners into becoming demon-like beings who would slaughter the nobles. Satrom was indeed cunning, using humans as his weapons. The demon-like beings wanted to destroy the nobles and establish their kingdom. Satrom, with indifference, allowed the demon-like beings to fulfill their desires. Essentially, Satrom's main goal was to overthrow the empire. Once the empire fell, Satrom no longer cared about anything else. Miria then asked why Satrom harbored such hatred towards the empire. Satrom recounted the reasons to Miria and Zas. Initially, Satrom was a kind-hearted noble who always defended the common people. However, his nature was despised by members of the royal court and other nobles. Satrom was framed by the nobles in the royal court to become hostile towards the common people. The nobles played their roles well, as did the members of the royal court. Satrom received an invitation to a meeting in the city, leaving his pregnant wife behind. Unfortunately, the invitation brought disaster to his wife. The nobles framed Satrom, accusing him of being a thief of girls from the commoner class. The nobles further incited the commoners by provoking his relationship with them. The trick worked because the commoners, overwhelmed with anger, rioted and burned Satrom's house along with his wife and child inside. Upon returning home, Satrom saw his wife and child devoured by the flames. Satrom went berserk, seeking revenge on the commoners and nobles for brutally murdering his family. Satrom vowed to avenge his family in the kingdom of Blusvia and destroy its people. Satrom's mission was successful, bringing him peace after avenging the suffering he had endured for so long. After hearing Satrom's life story, Ziz felt that his master no longer had any ambition. Ziz wanted to manipulate Satrom into opposing Shin and destroying the Irsold kingdom. Ziz sent Lauren as his spy, and they would collaborate. Moving on to the kingdom of Irsold, Prince August was appointed by King Desion to ascend to the position of crown prince. Not long after, soldiers reported that the kingdom of Swith was being attacked by demons. Crown Prince August tried to reassure his people, stating that their group would eradicate these demon forces. August asked Shin to deliver his speech to the people. Shin, feeling a bit nervous, told the citizens that they were a demon-fighting force called the Ultimate Magicians, and they would hunt down the demons. He asked the people not to panic and to wait for good news from them. After that, Shin and the others used flying magic to reach the land of Swith. Upon arriving, they saw the area in chaos, with the inhabitants slaughtered by demon-human hybrids. Shin and the others fought against these demon-humans using the techniques they had learned. Similarly, Thor and Julius were seen defeating the demon-humans. Thor tried to locate Satrom and ask the demon-humans, but they didn't respond. Instead, they expressed their resentment towards the nobles who had oppressed the common people, stating that after turning into demons, they could easily defeat the nobles. Julius disagreed with the demon-humans' thinking and tried to incapacitate them. The magic students fought against the demon-humans in Swith, dispersing to stop the increasing population of demon-humans. Returning to action, they successfully defeated the demon-humans in the city. Shin appeared very powerful, able to eliminate the demon-humans with his magic. Lauren followed Shin, realizing his immense strength and finding no weakness in him. The Ultimate Magicians managed to defeat the demon-humans, and the city was safe again, albeit severely damaged. Although the country of Swith was heavily devastated, some citizens managed to survive the incident. On the other hand, Ziz did not anticipate Shin's extraordinary power would save the country. Ziz planned to ask Lauren to step back and devise a new plan to defeat Shin. Ziz, not out of ideas, invited Miria to join his plan. Miria complied with Ziz's request and slaughtered the soldiers of the Swith kingdom. The scene then shifts to the refugee camp, where Cicely is busy treating the injured. With her healing magic, Cicely provided first aid to those who fell victim to the demon-human incident. On the other hand, Shin sensed a terrifying killing aura in the area. The Ultimate Magicians then arrived and confronted Miria's formidable attack. Miria managed to defeat the magic students, rendering them powerless against her. Shin then arrived, unleashing his immense rage, causing an explosion to attack Miria. Miria managed to escape from Shin's deadly attack. Shin felt relieved seeing his friends survive and his enemy escape. This incident left Shin extremely upset and angry, making August ponder what Satrom truly desired. The ultimate magicians then returned to the refugee camp to assist Cicely. The other students tried to heal the injured victims. Shin searched for Cicely and found her frustrated because she couldn't heal her patients. Shin comforted Cicely, promising to heal the man. He began his actions as a doctor to treat critically ill patients. Behind the wall, August observed Shin, feeling that Shin was incredibly strong and realizing that he would never be able to match Shin's power, which surpassed even senior wizards. After several hours, Shin succeeded in healing the critically ill man. Witnessing the event, Cicely felt utterly useless and constantly dependent on Shin. She felt depressed about her own extremely weak powers, unable to save others. Nevertheless, Shin calmly tried to cheer up the distraught Cicely. He showed her the people Cicely had saved. The townsfolk gathered to express their heartfelt gratitude because Cicely had saved their lives. They bestowed upon Cicely the title of Holy Savior. Cicely fell silent, feeling grateful for having saved many lives. Following the successful rescue incident, August also received recognition from King Swift, along with other companions honored by the Kingdom of Swift. August informed King Swift that the incident in their country felt unsettling due to the absence of the demon-human leader, Satrom, in Swift. August took the initiative to propose an alliance with the Kingdom of Swift, which the kings deemed beneficial for defeating the demon humans. Upon King Swift's acceptance of the proposal, August arranged a meeting between the two kingdoms. Ultimate Magician returned to the Kingdom of Arsel and reported the rescue results to King Desion. August conveyed the alliance made with King Switch to King Desion, who handed over the matter of the alliance between the two kingdoms to August as he was the crown prince. August and the members of Ultimate Magician bid farewell to the king to continue their mission. Elsewhere, Ziz and Lauren were reprimanded by Satrom for acting alone without his approval. Ziz apologized to Lord Satrom for his carelessness in not obeying his orders. Satrom laughed heartily, enjoying the spectacle created by Ziz and the others. Since Ziz and the others had been defeated, Satrom would take over to confront Shin. Satrom asked Miria if the preparations he requested had been successful, to which Miria assured him that she would give her best. Returning to August, who was bidding farewell to the king to lead his troops on the alliance mission with King Swift, Shin also bid farewell to Grandpa Merlin and Grandma Melinda to assist August and the others. The heroic couple gave their blessings and support. August and the others flew with magic to reach the Kingdom of Swift. Along the way, Alice complained about August's closeness to Shin during their mission. Alice expressed her jealousy at her fiancé's closeness to Shin, so she decided to accompany August to always be by his side. August stated that he liked his sweetheart, while Shin was his friend. Alice laughed at successfully teasing the crown prince. Shin then appeared awkward listening to Alice's jealousy towards him, being a normal guy and not interested in August. Cicely then approached Shin to change Alice's mind about her sweetheart. Shin never saw Cicely with him and looked very happy. The Ultimate Magicians team will carry out their mission together and appear very cohesive again in front of Merlin and also Melinda, who seemed to be alone. They were about to start a new chapter together but were interrupted by the kids who suddenly appeared at the gate. The children were making noise in Merlin's house, which made Melinda very angry and she asked them to be quiet, and the story ended here.